accepting us and hearing what God has for us today. It's a joy to reach out to you today. And this is from New World Deliverance Ministries International right here in Seattle, Washington State. And this is your humble servant, Apostle Ebenezer Ackun. We started looking at about why did God call somebody a man after his own heart. So we tried to discover why it happened so. Because it's like David was only a child and he had not accomplished, anything king-worthy at that time. That someone prophesied that God had rejected Saul and had chosen David, after his own heart. Say, I've chosen somebody after my own heart. Wow. So the last episode we saw what happened that made God change his mind about Saul and put in David. Yet David was still, like a little boy, and you never knew anything about kingship. Now God said, I've made you a king because you're a man after my own heart. Wow, so this is what we're going to try to discover through this series that we just started. So today we're going to talk about when did God, when did God decide to do something like that? You see? And what made David come to become the man God said he was after his own heart? So throughout this series, we'll be touching on a few topics that will help us to uncover why God says so. And I believe that when we sit through these studies, it's going to help us a lot because, it's God's heart desire that we all get helped so that we can know and understand this God that we are worshiping. Because he is the answer to every situation that we might go through on this earth. So though David, we see him as a musician who wrote about 73, of the 150 Psalms in the Bible. So looking at the way he lived, that we can see his heart that God bragged about, if I can put it that way. Wow. So after today, we might discover maybe one or two things about what makes a man change in totality or start to change in his life. So let's start. Praise someone.
1 Samuel 16:10-13. Thus Jesse made 7 of his sons pass before Samuel. And Samuel said to Jesse, the Lord had not chosen these. And Samuel said to Jesse, are all the young men here? Then he said, there remains yet the youngest, and there he is keeping the sheep. And Samuel said to Jesse, send and bring him, for we will not sit till he comes. So he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy with bright eyes and good looking. And the Lord said, arise, anoint him, for this is the one. Then Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brothers. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon David from that day forward. So Samuel arose and went to Ramah.
Wow. One more time.
Thus Jesse made 7 of his sons pass before Samuel. And Samuel said to Jesse, the Lord had not chosen these. And Samuel said to Jesse, are all the young men here? Then he said, there remains yet the youngest, and there he is keeping the sheep. And Samuel said to Jesse, send and bring him, for we will sit down till he comes. We will not sit down until he comes. So he went and brought him in. Now he was ruddy, with bright eyes and good looking. And the Lord said, Arise, anoint him, for this is the one. Then Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brothers. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon David from that day forward. So Samuel arose and went to Ramah.
Wow. So see how God selected even David. He had no idea what God was going to do with his life. He only knew that he loved God, he played music, he played a harp. He was tending sheep in those days. The youngest in the family, tended after the sheep or whatever livestock they had. And way before then also, they gave the job to girls. The girls in the family usually tended the sheep or the livestock that he had. Remember how Moses, he met, what's his name? Gertrude. That?
Zipporah?
No. When Moses met Zipporah's father.
Jethro.
You see that the girls were the ones looking after the sheep.
Yeah.
You see? Yeah. So along the line, the youngest came to look after the sheep. So David, knowing nothing, God had chosen him. And Samuel even didn't know who God was talking about until David came. But we see that, read the verse 12 again.
So he went and brought him in. Now he was ruddy with bright eyes and good looking. And the Lord said, Arise, anoint him, for this is the one.
Wow. Arise, anoint him, for this is the one. You might not know that in your family line, you are the one God has chosen to become somebody for his holy name and glory. You see? So every family line, there is at least one or two that God chooses for himself, and we might not know until God's time comes to pass. See? We see that David had some kind of kingly features also. He has some, the handsomeness of, if the whole crowd of tribe or people are going to look at you, at least when they see a little beauty or handsomeness, it enhances the whole thing. So we describe, David is described as a very fine appearance and a handsome features. Wow. And the Lord said, Arise, anoint him. This is the one. So what made a difference in David's life then? Say, then someone took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brothers. I mean, all these brothers were there. Usually, it's their first child that is supposedly be chosen for stuff like that. But here, God bypassed all and went to the last. Wow. So this shows how God chooses who he wants. And it's not by our intellect or by our choice. For the things of God, it is God that chooses. He wants us to understand this very carefully. Because we are going to go through David's life, we're going to see that it is when God chooses you that makes the difference between you and him, and between you and those he will choose you for, or the kind of work he will choose you to do. So it's very important for us to acknowledge this, that it's not a man that chooses for God's own business, for God's own work. It is God that reserves the right to do it in his own way. See the way David was chosen and Saul rejected. Wow. But the difference is here. He said, and the Spirit of the Lord came upon David from that day onwards. Wow. The Spirit of the Lord came upon David. So when the Spirit of the Lord comes upon you, it makes you a changed person. And that is how we can really go for it with God. You know, people try to go with God in their fleshly mindset, in their fleshly effort and will. But Holy Spirit is here today. And we need Him more than the air we breathe. Because He's the only one that's going to make a difference between us and God, between us and the world. And for those of us who have received Him as our Lord and personal Savior, we got to make sure that we have the Spirit of God for real. Because the Spirit of God is the only one that can make changes in our lives, even as we keep going. So let's keep going.
1 Samuel 10:6-10. Then the Spirit of the Lord will come upon you mightily, and you will prophesy wisdom, and you will be changed into another man. When these signs come to you, do for yourself whatever the situation requires, for God is with you. You shall go down ahead of me to Gilgal, and behold, I'll be coming down to you to offer burnt offerings and to sacrifice peace offerings. You shall wait 7 days until I come to you and show you what you must do. Then it happened when Saul turned his back to leave Samuel, God changed his heart, and all those signs came to pass that day. When they came to the hill Gilgal, behold, a group of prophets met him, and the Spirit of God came on him mightily, and he prophesied, meaning under the divine guidance among them.
Wow. Look at what the Spirit of God did to Saul. Wow. He said, the Spirit of the Lord will come upon you, and you will prophesy among them, and you will be changed into another man. Hitherto, Saul was a shy guy. We will see later on that when his time came, he had to go hide somewhere because he didn't want to be, known as the future king upcoming. So he said, the Spirit of the Lord will come upon you. So it's so important for us to look at what the Spirit of the Lord, when it comes, it does to us. He said, and you will be changed into another man. See? So if we want to be changed from our old wardrobe into God's new wardrobe, it will take the Spirit of the Lord. If you want to, cease doing our lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, pride of life, with all its associations, we got to understand that we need the Spirit of God. Because the Spirit of God made David what he became. Without the Spirit of God, you'll all be like dead stones, unable to change into anything better. And our lives will be terrible in the end. So we all need the Spirit of God for this. He said, when the Spirit of God, came even upon Saul, what happened to him? He said, read the text for me at 9.
9.
Yeah.
After that, you will come to the hill of God, where the garrison of the Philistines is. And when you come there to the city, you will meet a group of prophets coming down from the high place of worship with harp, tambourine, flute, and lyre before them, and they will be prophesying.
At a time.
Then the Spirit of the Lord will come upon you mightily, and you will prophesy with them, and you will be changed into another man.
And the Spirit of God will come upon you mightily. So in other words, the Spirit of the Lord comes upon us in measures. Here we're seeing how he came mightily upon Saul. And he began to prophesy. Everybody wondered, is Paul among the prophets now? So hitherto he had not been. You know, he was also tending animals, livestock of his fathers. So the Spirit of God, when it comes in measures for us. So we have to open our hearts to understand this thing, that when the Spirit of God comes upon us, he comes with measurements for how he wants to use us. So the Spirit of God came mightily upon Saul. Let's keep going.
First Samuel 11, 1 through 8. Then Nachash the Ammonite came up and encamped around Jabesh Gilead. And all the men of Jabesh said to Nachash, "Make a covenant with us, and we will serve you." And Nachash the Ammonite answered them, "On this condition I will make a covenant with you, that I may put out all your right eyes and bring reproach on all of Israel." Then the elders of Jabesh said to him, "Hold off for 7 days, that we may send messengers to all the territory of Israel. And then, if there is no one to save us, we will come out to you." So the messengers came to Gibeah of Saul and told the news in the hearing of the people. And all the people lifted up their voices and wept. Now there was Saul coming behind the herd from the field. And Saul said, "What troubles the people that they weep?" And they told him the words of the men of Jabesh. Then the Spirit of God came upon Saul when he heard this news, and his anger was greatly aroused. So he took a yoke of oxen and cut them in pieces, and sent them throughout all the territory of Israel by the hands of the messengers, saying, "Whoever does not go out with Saul and Samuel to battle, so it shall be done to his oxen." Then the fear of the Lord fell on the people, and they came out with consent. When he numbered them in Bezek, the children of Israel were 300,000, and the men of Judah were 30,000.
Wow. Read the verses again.
Yes, sir. Then the Spirit of God came upon Saul when he heard this news, and his anger was greatly aroused.
And the Spirit of God came upon Saul when he heard the news. What news? Let's see the news. See the 1 to 4 again.
Then Nachash the Ammonite came up and encamped around Jabesh Gilead, and all the men of Jabesh said to Nachash, "Make a covenant with us, and we will serve you." And Nachash the Ammonite answered them, "On this condition I will make a covenant with you, that I may put out all your right eyes, and bring reproach on all of Israel." Then the elders of Jabesh said to him, "Hold off for 7 days, that we may send messengers to all the territory of Israel. And then, if there is no one to save us, we will come out to you." So the messengers came to Gibeah of Saul and told the news of the hearing of the people. And all the people lifted up their voices and wept.
Wow. Out of like.
Now there was Saul coming behind the herd from the field, and Saul said, "What troubles the people that they weep?" And they told him the words of the men of Jabesh.
So we see the character of Ammonites with their stubbornness, not only to the Israelites, but to God, that the Israelites worship. So what happened? It took the Spirit of God to move through Saul. And when he moved through Saul, what happened? Read the 6 and the 7 again.
Then the Spirit of God came upon Saul when he heard this news, and his anger was greatly aroused. So he took a yoke of the oxen and cut them in pieces, and sent them throughout all the territory of Israel by the hands of the messengers, saying, whoever does not go out with Saul and Samuel in battle, so it shall be done to his oxen.
Wow. See, the Spirit of the Lord exhibited his anger through Saul. So you see, the Spirit of the living God, when it comes upon us, there are a variety of uses that he uses us for. In this wise, we see how the Ammonites were so proud and they needed somebody to match them up. They were saying they will gouge out the eyes of the Israelites if they were to become their service, because they have been defeated, yet they still maintain their pride and they don't want to become what usually when you get defeated in those days, you become a servant to the one who defeated you. But Ammonites said, no way for us. So the Spirit of the living God came to exhibit his anger against the Ammonites through Saul. And what did he do? He cut up also the pieces and said, this is what's going to happen to you if you keep your stubbornness. Wow. So sometimes when we keep our stubbornness, we should remember that the Spirit of God is not far away. He knows how to punish us. His anger might come against you in a variety of ways that you might not know. You see? So as we are hearing and knowing how the Spirit of God comes, when it came upon David, as we will look through later, he became a changed man. He came upon Saul, he became a changed man. He came upon Saul again here, he showed God's anger. Wow. So the Spirit of God is so important for all of us to yearn after, because the Spirit of God that made David become the history that we all know and we are all learning of, and that we have heard again and again. Everybody's talking about David and so forth. But it's important for us to understand that it took the Spirit of God to come upon him, to make him do the exploits that he was able to do later on. Let's go to the next one.
Numbers 27, 16 through 18. Let the Lord, the God of the spirits of all flesh, appoint a man over the congregation, who will go out and come in before them, and will lead them out and bring them in, so that the congregation of the Lord will not be as sheep without a shepherd. The Lord said to Moses, take Joshua, the son of Nun, a man in whom is the Spirit, and lay your hand on him.
Okay.
Let the Lord, the God of the spirits of all flesh, appoint a man over the congregation, who will go out and come in before them, and will lead them out and bring them in, so that the congregation of the Lord will not be as sheep without a shepherd. The Lord said to Moses, take Joshua, the son of Nun, a man in whom is the Spirit, and lay your hand on him.
Wow. Actually, keep going to 19.
And have him stand before Eleazar the priest and before the whole congregation, and give him a commission in their sight.
Keep going.
You shall put some of your authority and honor on him, so that all the congregation of the Israelites will obey him.
Wow. Up to 21.
He shall stand before Eleazar, the priest, who shall inquire before the Lord for him by the judgment of Urim. At Joshua's command, the people shall go out, and at his command they shall come in, he and all the congregation of Israel with him.
Wow. Again, we are seeing how the Spirit of God can make a difference. I mean, Joshua has been with Moses for a long time. But here, we say that it's coming to the end for Moses. And it took the man after God's own heart, Joshua. Joshua was also a man after God's own heart, even though it's not said here. But God had been training Joshua to be with Moses. So Joshua was like right-hand man of Moses. So whenever Moses went up, Joshua was with him, but he will not go farther to where God would meet Moses. It was a little back. But the Spirit of God says he was in Joshua also. Because of what? Because of his company with Moses. Wow. So sometimes God's Spirit can come through when you are in a company of God's own people that you might not know. So let's see how, read the 16 again.
Let the Lord, the God of the spirits of all flesh, appoint a man over the congregation.
See? Let the Lord, the God of the spirits of all flesh, appoint a man over the congregation. Let it go. So God is being acknowledged here as what? Being the Spirit also. You see, let it go, the Spirit of all flesh. Because after all, God is also a spirit. So he's the Spirit, he's the Father of all spirits. So when we say the Spirit of God, that means it's part of God. It's God himself, making himself part to come and dwell with man. Wow. That's why I say, great is the mystery of godliness. Because we can't understand the way God does his things. That's why I say no man can see God and live. Because God is totally not the same as man. So for God to use Joshua, he had to ask Moses that, look, Moses, I put my spirit already in Joshua, but what should you do? Have him stand before Eleazar, the priest. It was God that appointed Aaron and his descendants also as priests who would stand to minister unto him, God. So what did God do? He said, have him stand. First of all, he said, take Joshua the son of Nun, a man in whom is the Spirit of God, and lay your hand upon him. Wow. Confirmation that God's Spirit was indeed rested in Joshua. But as he laid his hand upon him, the Spirit of God came upon Joshua. And he said, do what? Let him stand before Eleazar the priest and before all the congregation and give him a commission in their sight. And you shall put some of your authority on him, so that all the congregation of Israel may obey him. Wow. It takes only the Spirit of God to make a difference in anything spiritual concerning God. It takes the Spirit of God. We can never think we shall go and do what we want just because we think so. Without the Spirit of God, whatever we attempt might not end well. Now when we have the Spirit of God, and like those of us God has commissioned and put his Spirit upon us, just like he did and gave to who? Joshua. He said, Joshua, put your hand, Moses, put your hand on Joshua and give him commission in that side, and put your authority also on him. Wow. Because Moses received all this from God. And because Moses was a human being also, that God delighted in, God allowed him to impart his spirit, impart his authority, and impart his commission upon Joshua, so that Joshua could be able to manage the people of God. So anything and everything about God's business, it takes the presence of the Spirit of God. So let's remember this, because it's only the Spirit that can make the difference between us and the world that we live in. Without the Spirit of God, none of us can be able to do anything to please God. So we all need the Spirit of God. Nonetheless, everyone needs. So let nobody think, oh, I can do, maybe read Bible myself and, become what I want to be. Well, even Bible is not a storybook like we can see it. It's not a literal. It's a spiritual book. So you need a Spirit of God to interpret what the Spirit of God has used men to write. That if you want to read it on your own, you can end up just, having theory and just a story or graphic something in your mind. And when the Spirit of God is interpreting the things of the Bible to you, it will open up you into deeper understanding of spiritual things, so that in the literal world, you can act as forth. So it's so important that we recognize that we need the Spirit of God every day of our lives. I mean, I need him like more than the air I breathe. And that's how I want us to also understand that the Spirit of God is the one that can make a difference. Let's keep going.
Judges 11:29 through 33. Then the Spirit of the Lord came upon Jephthah, as he passed through Gilead and Manasseh, and passed through Mizpah of Gilead. And from Mizpah of Gilead he advanced toward the people of Ammon. And Jephthah made a vow to the Lord and said, "If you will indeed deliver the people of Ammon into my hands, then it will be that whatever comes out of the doors of my house to meet me, when I return in peace from the people of Ammon, shall surely be the Lord's, and I will offer it up as a burnt offering." So Jephthah advanced towards the people of Ammon to fight against them, and the Lord delivered them into his hands. And he delivered them from Aroer as far as Minnith, 20 cities, and to Abel Keramim, with a very great slaughter. Thus the people of Ammon were subdued before the children of Israel.
Wow. One more time.
Then the Spirit of the Lord came upon Jephthah, and he passed through Gilead and Manasseh. And he passed through Mizpah of Gilead, and from Mizpah of Gilead he advanced towards the people of Ammon. And Jephthah made a vow to the Lord and said, "If you will indeed deliver the people of Ammon into my hands, then it will be that whatever comes out of the doors of my house to meet me, when I return in peace from the people of Ammon, shall surely be the Lord's, and I will offer it up as a burnt offering." So Jephthah advanced toward the people of Ammon to fight against them, and the Lord delivered them into his hands. And he defeated them from Aroer as far as Minnith, 20 cities, and to Abel Keramim, with a very great slaughter. Thus the people of Ammon were subdued before the children of Israel.
Then the Spirit of the Lord came on Jephthah. Before then, Jephthah was like, disregard somebody, and he has strength and all that. He was a wise guy. But he had been discarded. But when they realized, the Israelites realized that they need somebody with that kind of aptitude, they went for Jephthah again. And Jephthah here was seen being commissioned to go and destroy these Ammonites who were so stubborn and very strong and mighty with tools of warfare. You know. And when we come back a little before this one, we'll see how, read it 27 and 28.
27?
Yeah.
So
Let's
Judges,
start from 26. Judges 11.
okay, Judges 11, 26.
26 to 28.
While Israel dwelt in Heshbon and its villages, in Aroer and its villages, and in all the cities along the banks of the Arnon for 300 years, why did you not recover them within that time? Therefore I have not sinned against you, but you wronged me by fighting against me. May the Lord, the judge, render judgment this day between the children of Israel and the people of Ammon. However, the king of the people of Ammon did not heed the words which Jephthah sent him.
See? The people of Ammon, they believed themselves, were so proud. But it took somebody to make a difference in Jephthah's life. And who was that? It was the Spirit of the Lord. It came upon Jephthah. And as soon as he came, he said, he enabled him, he made him more than a Goliath. And he passed through Gilead and Manasseh and passed through Mizpeh and Gilead. And he went to the children of Ammon. And Jephthah made a vow because he knew these people are the Ammonites. He knew that if he's able to conquer them, then he will be like the best person in the world. So what did he do? He said, oh God. So he had to make a vow unto the Lord. Well, read it 30.
Judges 11:30. And Jephthah made a vow to the Lord and said, if you will indeed deliver the people of Ammon into my hands, then it will be that whatever comes out of the doors of my house to meet me when I return in peace from the people of Ammon shall surely be the Lord's, and I will offer it up as a burnt offering.
Wow. See? So even Jephthah, he was a little afraid because he knew these people, how their hearts were. They were so crooked and so hard to crack. And people like that, how can he lead an army against? So he needed the Spirit of God. And when the Spirit of God came, he conquered. Because God did his part of the deal. You know? And what happened? You see how Jephthah made a vow unto the Lord. Because he knew that if he is allowed to overcome these people, then it's a great feast that the Lord ought to have from him. You see? So, Jephthah went on to Ammon to fight against them, and the Lord delivered them into his hands. So, who made a difference? The Spirit of God. The Spirit of God. Wow. And I believe God delighted with Jephthah because he made a vow to God. Wow. So let's make sure that when we do a vow unto God, we fulfill it. So if we vow to become his children forever, let's do what?
Do it.
Let's fulfill it. See? And what happened? God gave Jephthah a great victory. Wow. Because God, has raised him up for that very purpose to overcome these stubborn people, very wicked people, Ammonites. Wow, children of Ammon. But unfortunately for Jephthah, at the end, he had to sacrifice his own daughter because of the vow he had made to God. Wow. I think there is a festival that is still celebrated among the Jews about Jephthah's daughter's sacrifice. But it was a vow, so you have to do it, Yeah, every vow we put in our hearts to God. If you tell God, I will worship you to the end of time. I will be with you till you take me up. I will lay my whole spirit, soul, body, mind for you, so that you, God, can own me. Just make sure you fulfill your part. Because when you make a vow with God, God is going to honor it. Okay? Wow. Okay. Let's do the last one.
Was she not going to read Judges 13, 22 to 25? Okay, I'll read. Judges 13, 22 through 25. And Manoah said to his wife, "We shall surely die, because we have seen God." But his wife said to him, "If the Lord desired to kill us, he would not have accepted a burnt offering and a grain offering from our hands, nor would he have shown us all these things, nor would he have told us such things as these at this time." So the woman bore a son and called his name Samson. And the child grew, and the Lord blessed him. And the Spirit of the Lord began to move upon him at Manadan, between Zorah and Eshtaol.
Okay.
And Manoah said to his wife, "We shall surely die, because we have seen God." But his wife said to him, "If the Lord had desired to kill us, he would not have accepted a burnt offering and a grain offering from our hands, nor would he have shown us all these things, nor would he have told us such things as these at this time." So the woman bore a son and called his name Samson. And the child grew, and the Lord blessed him. And the Spirit of the Lord began to move upon him at Manadan, between Zorah and Eshtaol.
So if you want to know the story about Manoah and how Gibeah came about, you can read the whole of chapter 13. You can start from verse 1. But now we see the Spirit of God making a difference in who? Samson's life. You see, but the angel of the Lord did not appear again to Manoah and to his wife. Then Manoah knew his wife, just like the angel of the Lord said. So Manoah's wife conceived, and what came out? What came out was Samson. Because God had chosen Samson for himself. If you read the way God appeared to them, he even said his name was something else. Read verse 18. 17, 18.
Okay, Judges 13, 17, and 18. Then Manoah said to the angel of the Lord, "What is your name? That when your words come to pass, we may honor you." And the angel of the Lord said to him, "Why do you ask my name, seeing it is wonderful?"
Again.
Then Manoah said to the angel of the Lord, "What is your name? That when your words come to pass, we may honor you."
Mm-hmm.
And the angel of the Lord said to him, "Why do you ask my name, seeing it is wonderful?"
Wow. My name is what? Wonderful. So this tells us that angel of the Lord was the Lord himself. Wow. Isn't that incredible to have the maker of heaven and earth visit you in this special way? Wow. So, read the 23 to 25 again.
Judges 13:23 through 25, or it was actually 22.
Yeah.
So 22, and Manoah said to his wife, "We shall surely die because we have seen God." But his wife said to him, "If the Lord had desired to kill us, he would not have accepted a burnt offering and a grain offering from our hands. Nor would he have shown us all these things, nor would he have told us such things as these at this time." So the woman bore a son and called his name Samson. And the child grew, and the Lord blessed him. And the Spirit of the Lord began to move upon him at Mahaneh Dan, between Zorah and Eshtaol.
Wow. You know why the lady was afraid? She said, "Oh, we have seen God, we are going to die." Because why? Somebody read me Exodus 33:20. Exodus 33:20.
Exodus 33:20. But he said, "You cannot see my face, for no man shall see me and live."
Whoa. Again.
But he said, "You cannot see my face,
Mm-hmm.
for no man shall see me and live."
Whoa. Even Moses, upon all his deliberations with the Lord, God did not show him his face. And he's explaining here that no man shall do what? See my face and live. So isn't it incredible that Manoah's wife remembered, please, what God has said about himself, that no man shall see my face and live. But God came in an unusual, angelic form, and they sacrificed to him and all that. And it's like they were fascinated. They wanted to know, who are you? Wow. They said, "Why do you want to know my name?" "Because I'm wonderful." Wow. So because God is wonderful, he chooses who he can make him see something. But usually when he even makes you see, he wipes it off so that you don't remember actually. Because God is a spirit. No one can see me and live. But he made himself available in something that they could see, and they still lived. So see how Manoah, read it 23 for me.
Back to Judges 13,
Mm-hmm.
verse 33.
23.
Or 23, excuse me. Okay, Judges 13:23. But his wife said to him, "If the Lord had desired to kill us, he would not have accepted a burnt offering and a grain offering from our hands. Nor would he have shown us all these things, nor would he have told us such things as these at this time."
Wow. Just like God came to tell about Isaac to Abraham, to tell about son. To who? To Manoah and his wife. God, they have not had any child for a long time. And God had to visit them because he wanted to use what will come out of their belly. Wow. So, you say, why? Manoah was afraid. He said, "Look, we are going to die because we have seen God." How did he even come to, accept that this is God we have seen. Because it was unusual. The way God acted was unusual. And it's like when God comes to you himself, he gives you a knowing about him. You see? Let me tell you a little. God makes you know and have no doubt that it is him that has visited you. He leaves no doubt at all. So this is why they were able to detect that this must be God. And that's why they said, even though he said an angel of the Lord. So God came like an angel, but they could detect that. Usually angels don't receive these things. He said, if the Lord wanted to kill us, he would not have received a burnt offering and a grain offering. Wow. And he would not have shown us all of these things and told us such things at this time. It was only God who received sacrifices of praise, adoration, worship, everything. Just like the man was dead. It was only God. Wow. So, read the 24 again, 24, 25.
Judges 13, 24 and 25. So the woman bore a son and called his name Samson. And the child grew, and the Lord blessed him. And the Spirit of the Lord began to move upon him at Mahaneh Dan between Zorah and Eshtaol.
Oh my goodness. So what God prophesied to him came to pass. And he said the child that came up grew, and the Lord blessed him. Why? Because it was the Lord's own making. So you see, this is to enable us to understand how God deals with us human beings. If you can make or bring yourself to find favor before the Lord, he will have favor, and his favor will continue to do exploits in your life. In other words, if you have the Spirit of God move in your life, he will bring changes. So just like as we are studying about David, there's something that brought this huge difference in his life. And he was the Spirit of God. That's why I have to let us go through what the Spirit of God does or did to our grandfathers or our forefathers and what he is doing now in our lives. The same Spirit of God doesn't die. He's alive. He knows you. And he has chosen us, called us out of our families and the power of Satan over us. He has called us out. He has saved us out and given us grace to learn of him, to know him, and to live for him. So it takes the Spirit for us to keep going, to breeze through whatever difficulties might befall us. So I want all of us to get interested in the Spirit of God, because we need him for our lives, because he's going to bring changes. See? When we started, we got to know that he comes in a measure. So the measure you give to him, he will open himself to you. And the Spirit of God is a gentleman. He will not force you against your will. So if he comes to you, upon you, and you limit him, you will see a limitation also in your life. See? So let's say you come and you enjoy your pride. Well, will you live with pride? No. If he comes and you enjoy your foolishness, will you live with foolishness? No. He rather wants you to surrender yourself to him so that he can change you. He can bring the heavenly qualities that will make you into a heavenly being. Do you want that or you don't? Wow. So yeah, so this is where I'll put us today for the differences that came when the Spirit of God came upon Saul, came upon David, came upon all these men of God that we have heard tonight. And I believe if you get interested in the Spirit of God coming upon you, go for it with A to Z of you, and you'll see the glory of God in your life. Stay blessed, and we'll see you in a few days.